May each of us thank our Creator for the privilege of living in and serving our community. We ask for wisdom and guidance in any and all decisions. We also ask for the protection of the members of our armed forces, to pray for their safe return and give strength to their loved ones. These we ask in thy name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Go Navy.
Do a roll call, please.
Council Chair Mayor Patrick T. Riley.
Here.
Vice Chair Steve Ribbit.
Here.
Council members Grant Ball.
Here.
Brian Bale.
Here.
Dick Horn.
Here.
Danny White.
Here.
Town Administrator Matt Stinnett.
Here.
Town Attorney Carl Bone.
Here.
Town Planner Todd Mowry.
Here.
I'm the Town Clerk Treasurer Debbie Franklin.
Thank you. Is there any additions, deletions, or changes to the agenda? Okay. I'll entertain a motion for the approval of the regular town council meeting minutes of June 3rd, 2019.
I'll make that motion. I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried 5-0. Move on to attorney's report.
There is nothing to report on tonight, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. We'll move on to the presentation by James Morris CPA, and we will vote on this under the action, so no action at this time, just the presentation.
Good evening. My name is Doug Gillikin. I'm the audit manager on the engagement. Zach Schaff, the partner, was actually heading the other direction tonight. He's up in Baker County, so I got the opportunity to be here in front of you guys. So tonight we're talking about the annual audit of the town for the year ended September 30th, 2018. And just a quick thank you to Matt, Debbie, and everyone else here, staff-wise, that helped with the audit. I think it was a good year. As we learn more about the town and repeat another year, things become just a little bit easier. The learning curve becomes a little less stiff.
Okay.
So the auditor's reports. Keep in mind that these are management's financial statements. The responsibility of the audit firm is to opine on them. So we are responsible for the 4 reports listed here. So the first one is your independent auditor's report, just your general opinion on the financial statements as a whole. You'll see here that we have a qualified opinion on the government-wide financial statements. That's due to the town not implementing GASB Pronouncement 75 related to other post-employment benefits. Speaking with management, and I think we brought it to town council last year, that it just didn't make sense for the town to implement the standard at this time. We'll reassess that every year. Really, what the standard got into was not to give you an accounting lesson, but it was a theoretical liability related to health insurance for retirees. So, not really needed at the time. If you look into the auditor's report, you'll see that while the government-wide statements have a qualified opinion, the general fund itself has an unmodified or clean audit opinion, which is what the town wants to see. Second report is your independent auditor's report on internal control and compliance. This is required by government auditing standards. You'll see here that we had no material weaknesses for the town this year, and just one significant deficiency. That was related to 2 capital leases. We just had to make some adjustments to the government-wide and general fund statements. I think the important thing here to keep in mind is that they were really just accounting errors, no mistreatment of cash or no lack of approvals on any transactions or anything of that nature. Third report is the management letter required by the Florida Auditor General. And this report just looks at things like financial condition assessment and deteriorating financial analysis. We just had one recommendation here related to non-compliance with the budget. Again, it was kind of related to those capital lease adjustments, nothing that wasn't approved or came through council or anything of that nature. And then finally, the fourth report is an examination report required by the Florida Auditor General. This looks at any investments that the town holds, and at this time, the town is in compliance with state statute. And so just a quick look at the numbers. The general fund is the only fund of the town, but in theory, the general fund is your main operating fund. And as you can see listed, there are 5 buckets related to fund balance, which is kind of your net assets in government talk. So first, non-spendable, that's any money that has already gone out the door, so that's your prepaid expenses, inventory, things that you can't turn into cash in a short amount of time as it's already been spent. Second is restricted fund balance. That's any money that's restricted by an external source. For the town, it's your building department funds. Third, excuse me, is your committed fund balance. As you can see, 0 balance, but that would be anything that the town would restrict internally by ordinance. Fourth is your assigned fund balance. Those are any monies that are essentially earmarked for future use. So that $62,000 listed there for 2018 is related to the FY19 budget. And then finally, your unassigned fund balance is any residual dollars that don't meet the criteria of the other 4 buckets. And so what does all that kind of mean? So GFOA, the Government Finance Officers Association, kind of a governing body over governmental accounting, has a benchmark for us to use of about 2 months of your available monies, which will be your assigned and unassigned, those 2 last buckets of fund balance, which equals out to about 16.7% of your current year expenditures. So if you look at the town's numbers, those last 2 buckets is that 1.1 million, divided by your 2018 expenditures of about 2.7, so that puts you guys at about 42.1%. Obviously well over that 16.7% that the GFOA recommends. Again, that's a very minimal recommendation. You guys are a coastal town. We have flooding, hurricanes, tornadoes, all that. So you always definitely want to be above that 16.7. But at this time, I think the town is in good shape. And then lastly, just some other highlights as we went through the financial statements. Obviously, you guys are well aware of it, and at this point, these numbers are about 8 months old, so probably don't need to belabor it too much. I think the big one here, though, the $905,000 in capital outlay expenditures, just the town investing in its future. And then the net pension liability, for whatever reason, anytime we talk about pensions, it seems to be a hot button issue. Obviously, the town is invested in the Florida retirement system, so you guys don't have a lot of control over the $975,000 liability on your books. But I think the key is that last bullet, no real budgetary impact, and the town did make all its contributions timely in accordance with the FRS standards, so always good to see that. And that's really all I have. Like I said, just quick highlights. The quick highlights, these numbers are in the 9/30/18 financial statements are pretty old at this point. So thank you, Council, for the opportunity to be here tonight. And if you have any questions.
Didn't you say earlier that the net pension liability, the $975,000, that was to be paid if the Florida retirement system just went belly up?
Yeah, like the state would have to go bankrupt for that number to be really due in 1 year.
Right.
Okay.
You never know, but it's in theory, yes, it could happen.
This is probably the last chance I'll get to say this for a while, because I'm going to be terminating out at the end of this term for a while. But I have noticed, as long as I paid attention to what goes on in the town hall, town administration, that the town clerk treasurer and her staff have done a remarkable job of keeping us in compliance year in and year out. I can't think of a time when things haven't been right, and I would say, I would like to think the council ought to compliment that position.
I agree.
Do you agree that the work has been that good.
Yes, sir. And like I said earlier, those audit adjustments are really because the accounting standards and guidelines changed, not so that the town did anything wrong. It's really just that, you know, it's hard for a town to decide to really keep up with all that, so, you know, that's kind of where we come in. But yes, I agree with that statement wholeheartedly.
I think they kept up with everything. Matt, you were part of it before you became town administrator, weren't you?
Steve?
Yeah, I just had a question on the general fund page, that non-spendable line, what is that?
So the 692 is just related to prepaid expenses, you know, money as of 9/30 that was for something that was due in October.
Oh, okay.
Really just the time.
No, that the stormwater would be restricted, so.
Stormwater would have been the committed fund balance. You can see the 21,000 in 2017. It's not, there's nothing there this year because you spent more related to those projects than you took in.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Move on to staff reports. Matt?
Just a couple of things. We started on the court today, so we'll be making some progress on that, cleaning the ditches out. And then we'll be getting our John Deere tractor we use for grading roads back this week as well, so we'll get caught up on any roads that are in pretty rough shape.
Any questions?
I was gonna say, I noticed the cattails and the ditches are dying already, so that spraying is working.
Deb?
I have a couple of things. I want to remind council of the need to have your Form 1s done and sent out by July 1st. There is a financial penalty, even though you don't get any money for this job, if you don't get them turned in. If you need help or you need another blank, let me know, come see me, and we'll get everybody squared away. Please check your mailboxes before you leave, because there is an agenda for next Monday's workshop, okay? That's all I have.
Any questions? The mailboat status?
It is being laid out, we should see it come back to us for proofing sometime this week.
Okay.
And then, once it's laid out and we're happy with it, we'll share it with you and see if you're happy with it.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, we have no public comments, so we'll move on to public hearing. Vacate a 20-foot by 60-foot spur off of East Railroad Avenue North of State Road 514, Resolution 09219. Please read by title only.
A resolution of the Town of Malabar, Brevard County, Florida, vacating and abandoning the 20-foot wide unimproved right-of-way known as East Railroad Avenue, lying perpendicular to the remaining East Railroad Avenue in Section 31, Township 28, Range 38, within the Town of Malabar, a distance of 60 feet plus or minus, providing for conflict, providing for an effective date.
I'll open up the public hearing. Anyone from the public wish to speak? Seeing none, close the public hearing. I'll move on to staff.
I just want to say P&Z did recommend approval 5-0, and staff also recommends approval.
I did speak to Carmine at the end of the planning and zoning meeting about this, so I'm just declaring that.
This is just to be an access to his property all the time.
Okay.
Yes, I do have a question, and I just noticed it. Morris's memo said it's approximately 116.77 feet long.
Well, I put plus or minus because I wasn't sure of
And
the
the Reso says
exact
60
dimension.
feet.
Yeah, and he might have given the linear feet on both sides.
I don't know, it's hard to tell. There's a map in here.
The diagram says 116.
Once it,
60 feet is not very far.
yeah, I think we probably need to change that to at least, say, 117 plus or minus.
Okay.
Okay,
All right.
I just noticed that in reading through it, and I apologize for not picking that up before. Because that's what it looks like. I mean, you can ask Mr. Carmine if that's more accurate the 117 feet, but like I said, Morris's memo says 116.77, which is depicted on that map. So if we go 117 plus or minus, we should be covered. It's the one with the highlighted yellow,
Yeah.
Debbie?
Okay.
Turn your head sideways to read it. Keep going. There it is, right there.
Okay.
Just going to load that thing up to like giant size to read it.
That's all right.
Yeah,
But it does
We
say.
got the point,
yeah,
Okay.
right here. All right.
Okay.
okay,
So, actually, the second or third page.
Okay.
It is 117.
okay.
Like I said, we just need to just change the resolution to 117 plus or minus.
All right, Todd, you want to come up and speak on the item?
Thank you, Mayor. I think if you look at Morris's report, he really does a great job of trying to provide for many of the details that you need to be considering for this. Obviously, this is one that we have property to the north, to the east, and to the south that are adjacent to this. All of that, when we normally do a vacation, people often say, what do we do when we abandon property? I think we always tell people is we take that property, we divide it equally, one to the right, one to the left, whether it be north, south, east, or west, we don't really care at the time, but it's always equally divided. So whether it's a right-of-way, whether it's a street, whatever that may be, we work that vacation process on there. Worked with your attorney as well, we talked about the process. I think at this point, you're pretty good to go on this. Should be a fairly easy cut and dry matter. The applicant is also here as well. This is one where the applicant's property is to the north, the applicant's property is to the east, the applicant's property is to the south. To the west, we have a public road, and so there's nothing that's affected. But in a normal vacation like this, we would be abandoning half of it to the north, which is the applicant's property. The other half would go to the south, which is the applicant's property. And that's how that division would occur. If you have any questions, we've got an answer to this.
All right. You could probably answer in that discussion if you're first. Okay, thank you. All right, Willie, you want to come up and speak on the subject?
Thank you, Mayor. Do I need to give
Yeah.
William Carmine, 3916 Lakeside Lane, Grant Bulgarian, Florida. I'd like to just thank you guys for looking into this for me. As the planner just mentioned, we did purchase the property all the way around that easement, and it's just not natural easement there. There's no needs for access for the public at all with that little sliver there. And with vacating it, it just helps clean up the lot lines. It's kind of a weird layout the way those three lots are to begin with. And will help us for future planning as well with development of that property.
Okay, thank you. All right, I'll entertain a motion for approval of resolution 09-219.
So made that one. Okay, I'll second.
So who made the motion?
Or-
Okay. All right, it's now open up for discussion.
It's my understanding it was a historical railroad spur for the lumberyard. So this piece of ground was created to make access to the railroad for the lumberyard dating back many moons ago. So that is not likely going to be used again for any purpose. So it would be, I think this is a good idea to give it back. To abandon.
Go ahead, Steve.
Okay, it looks like all the parcels still have access, even if they were sold individually, we still have access from the right of way, so we're not losing access to anything. Is that correct?
Any
No,
other
I
discussion?
really wish we left out, as he said, it just kind of cleans up an awkward situation.
Grant?
I'm the one that always says that as a town, we should never give anything away like this land. However, in this particular situation, it's just intrusion into his land, not so much that it's of use, it's his. He's gonna use it how he wants to use it anyway, so it's all his land, and it doesn't make any sense at all to not approve this one, in my opinion.
Dan?
I looked at it and I applied the grant rule to it. I couldn't see where, it was interesting, the photo that Morris produced from 1945. That was just pretty cool. It was a big old building that, of course,
Yeah.
is there any longer, and that's what it serviced. So certainly we should,
We don't have a train station.
yeah, we should definitely get this one.
Right, any other discussion?
I said, we don't have a train station.
All right, we'll do a roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Ball,
Aye.
Councilmember Vale,
Aye.
Councilmember Rivet,
Aye.
Councilmember Corn,
Aye.
Councilmember White.
Aye.
Motion carried 5-0.
Thank you. Okay, we move on to the second public hearing, was amend the future land use map and zoning map for less than 1 acre, ordinance 2019-07. Please read by title only.
An ordinance of the Town of Malabar, Brevard County, Florida, amending the land use map and zoning map for the .82 acre plus or minus at the northeast corner of Malabar Road and East Railroad Avenue adjacent to the Florida East Coast Railroad in Township 28, Range 38, Section 31, Subdivision 54, Lots D1, D2, and D12, Malabar, Florida, from residential limited commercial, RLC, to commercial general, CG, providing for amendment to the official town land use and zoning maps, providing for an effective date.
Thank you. I'll open up the public hearing. Anyone from the public wishes to speak? Public hearing is now closed. I'll turn it over to staff. Is Carl?
I haven't commented.
Debbie, you got anything?
Again, this was a 5-0 recommendation from planning and zoning, and staff also recommended approval.
All right, Todd?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. At this point in time, just want to walk you quickly through the application. This obviously is one that we review from a zoning standpoint, want to make sure everything is in compliance. Article 12, Section 1-12.5 has 10 criteria that you're to use when considering these types of requests. We look at each of one of those items and we compare it with the applicant's request for this, and in doing so, we found everything was compatible with your current ordinance. In addition to that, we walked through the fact that there was the last one, which is what we call other matters, that you may deem appropriate, and from that, we suggested that as a part of your motion, you include a unity of title for that, since it's such a small, those 3 lots are so small, we want to make sure they remain combined for this use. Again, for this, we're not utilizing a site plan. This is not about the site plan at this point in time. It's about putting the land use and zoning in place, working through that change, and as we go through that, you'll see what those are. We also, finally, we use what we call the 3 Cs: consistency, compatibility, capability. We say, is it consistent with your plan? Is it compatible with the neighborhood? Is the site capable of handling the uses that are within that CG zoning district? And looking at that, we say yes, that in fact it does comply with the 3 Cs. Staff at this point has a motion recommending approval. Glad to answer any questions as well at the time you may request. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Willie, one more time.
William Carmine, 3916 Lakeside Lane, Grant Hall, Cary, Florida. Again, I'd like to thank you guys for giving me this opportunity to once again, hopefully develop some more property in Malabar. As most of you know, I built Route 1 Motorsports, which is the adjacent property, 2 years ago, September. And we've exceeded our growth projections. And since then, we've purchased this parcel, or 3 parcels of land there. As the planner did mention, we do plan to make unity of title on those 3 lots. And what our hopes here is to open that up so we can put a second means of egress in, as well as future expansion. Currently, it's, you know, we have to do a couple U-turns depending on which way we're coming or going from. And if we're able to put an entrance through on Malabar Road, which is what the fire chief had really pushed for when we were doing development on the US 1 parcel. This will help with all that as well, as far as for life safety. You guys have any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, I'll entertain a motion for approval of ordinance 2019-07.
I'll make a motion.
Sorry.
With the
condition of that, would the applicant provide a recorded unity of title? Todd, is that what you want?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
With the condition that the applicant provides a unity,
A recorded unity of title.
recorded unity of title.
Yeah, you okay on the second?
I am, I'm just not sure I understand it.
It puts all the parcels into one, and then with certain language in the unity of title, it prevents it from parceling them back off and splitting them up again.
Got it.
Essentially.
It makes it
Yes,
all one piece.
I'm comfortable with that.
Now, do we need to put the correction for the 60 feet versus the?
No, that was just the right.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
You okay with the second? Okay, I'll open up for discussion.
I'll say this is certainly more appropriate than putting commercial property in residential neighborhoods like 4 and 5 council members did the last meeting. They will support this.
Any other discussion? All right, we'll do a roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Ball,
Aye.
Councilmember Vale,
Aye.
Councilmember Rivet,
Aye.
Councilmember Corn,
Aye.
Councilmember White.
Aye.
Motion carried 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Thanks, Todd, for your help in this also. All right, we'll move on to the sign ordinance, ordinance 2019-06. Please read by title only.
That one I don't have. Thank you.
You put the tabs in there.
Thank goodness. An ordinance of the town of Malabar, Brevard County, Florida, amending, that's the wrong one.
Number 4.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
That's, is it?
2019-06.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Amending the land development regulations of this town, amending in full Article 19, amending definitions, amending sections relating to exemptions, providing for regulations of temporary signs, providing for prohibited signs and exceptions, providing for sign regulations for all zoning districts, providing for signs exempt from permitting, providing for prohibited signs and exemptions, providing for administration, providing for appeals and variances, providing for regulations of non-conforming signs, providing regulations concerning hazardous signs, providing for permits, providing for general sign regulations, amending Table 1-19.18, providing for severability, conflicts, codification, and effective date.
Thank you. Does staff have anything to say on this?
What we did as a result of the last meeting and Mr. Ball's comments, we removed the word licenses and I substituted the term business matches.
All right, I'll entertain a motion for approval of resolution, ordinance 2019-06.
I'll move.
I'll second.
Any further discussion?
Who made the motion?
I did.
Dick?
When they first began getting real serious about working on the sign ordinances, I think I said it in this meeting and in the individual members of that board, that advisory board, let's keep it user-friendly. And what I have seen that they've come up with is something that is very specifically detailed to control the eventuality of unappropriate signs and so forth. But it has remained user-friendly. If somebody wants to put up a sign that fits, it can be done pretty normally. I have seen communities where the sign ordinance is just about making it impossible for a business to exist. I think of a case of a community nearby here, the Bob Evans restaurant is no longer there because of the sign ordinance that prohibited them from putting a visible sign. And this is not going to do that anyway.
Any other discussion?
I would, something that this brings up to me, but and I don't want to be unfriendly to business, but the complaint that I heard from P&Z was they're building an ordinance that we never apply. You know, and out of respect to their efforts, where they see violations of our sign ordinance, they would like us to at least have a conversation with the business owner or the resident. Say, hey, you know, let's try to be a good neighbor here. I don't know how we do that.
Well, actually, a complaint goes to code enforcement, which is Matt, and then Matt will follow. That's the process.
But I believe we're creating this ordinance because Carl Bone says we have to create this ordinance. Is that not correct?
Carl Bone said that the United States Supreme Court said your ordinance was unconstitutional, so that's why it is.
And so we're trying to stay within the parameters that we've been dealt and come up with something that's workable for a town our size.
And not focus on the content of the sign, which is very difficult to do.
Very difficult to not focus on.
Exactly, because a sign by definition, you gotta look at the content, I mean.
That's what it says, that's what it's advertising.
Correct, so, but you're not allowed to.
But I think they've done a good job of
I think so.
dealing with that.
Yeah, we beat this one pretty much to death, and they did a good job. They really did. I mean, what I provided to them was extremely complex, I agree, and they whittled it down to what I agree with is as user-friendly as we can get with this type of sign ordinance, considering what the United States Supreme Court said that we cannot do.
And it's town of Malabar friendly.
Correct.
All right, any other discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Roll call.
Resolution.
Ordinance.
Ordinance.
Councilmember Ball.
Aye.
Councilmember Vale.
Aye.
Councilmember Rivet.
Aye.
Councilmember Corn.
Aye.
Councilmember White.
Aye.
Motion carried 5-0.
The suspension.
Well, resolutions don't need roll call, right? Somebody doesn't need roll call. The resolutions need roll
Resolution, we have roll call for resolution.
call? Everything, okay. All right, just say that. I'll remember that. Everything needs roll
Well, no,
call,
if it
other
doesn't-
than actions.
Correct. There it is.
All right, speaking of resolutions, we'll move on to approve the financial audit of fiscal year 2017, 2018, resolution 10-2019. Please read by title only.
A resolution of the Town of Malabar, Brevard County, Florida, providing acceptance of the annual audit report provided for fiscal year 2017-2018 by the audit firm of James Moore and CPA, and providing an effective date.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Second.
All right, any discussion? Please do a roll call vote.
Councilmember Ball.
Aye.
Councilmember Vale.
Aye.
Councilmember Rivet.
Aye.
Councilmember Corn.
Aye.
Councilmember White.
Aye.
Motion carried 5-0.
Thank you for your time, appreciate it.
Mr. Mayor, who made the motion and the second on that?
I have a second.
Thank you.
All right, we'll move on to approve Taylor Lane as a new street name, resolution 11-2019. Please read by title only.
Resolution of the Town of Malabar, Brevard County, Florida, providing for the repeal of Resolution 01-2005, naming this right-of-way Samantha Lane, providing for the new name of this right-of-way south of Hall Road to be Taylor Lane for a distance of 1,200 feet in Section 1, Township 29, Range 37. Providing for the forwarding of this information to Brevard County address assignment for E911 emergency identification purposes, providing for conflict, providing for an effective date.
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
Yeah, I actually got a question on this. What's driving the change? Why is it being changed?
New owner.
Yeah, I can answer that. The people that improved Samantha Lane and built the house have sold the house,
Right.
okay? They built the road and they asked for it to be named Samantha. The new owners are still the only people on that section of right-of-way, and they've asked for the name change. And they paid the application fee, and we've done the checking and the background that's required.
And their name is Taylor, is that driving the?
I would imagine someone in their family name is Taylor.
Our history has been to, essentially let the people that built the road name it. And there have been some roads and sections of roads that have been renamed, but there's always been some good reason behind it. Now, I don't have an argument saying, no, we shouldn't do this. I'm just trying to understand, what's the threshold for doing a change.
I don't see anything in here, but I think we need to, let the post, the OIC, the postmaster, let the post office know about this as well.
Oh, they'll all be notified.
There's nobody else affected by this for their
One-
mailboxes, not anything, it's only affects this one person, right?
Correct.
Correct.
There are no other property owners that would have objected to this.
Yeah, there's one house on that.
There's only one house, are there other lots?
Yes.
Yes. One house.
Any other discussion? All right, roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Ball,
Aye.
Councilmember Vale, Councilmember Rivet,
Aye.
Councilmember Corn,
Aye.
Councilmember White.
Aye.
Motion carried 5-0.
Thank you. All right, Carl.
Good night.
Fourth inning.
I'm on the next page. I've got a page all on.
Baseball game.
All right, move on to reports.
Okay, I just would like to thank Danny Revere for the, wow, I walked in the door to the meeting hall tonight, it's like, wow, what a big difference. It looks,
Wow.
yeah, thank you so much. And that's all I have.
Steve?
Nothing to me tonight.
Grant?
Just want to pat them on the back, the Whites did a beautiful job coming in here and helping get the town squared away, as well as Matt and Debbie and everybody was working, and I think it looks much better, it looks a little more professional, it's a little lighter in here. So,
Who painted which wall?
They wrote their names on it.
If you find something wrong.
Did you write your name in the board?
I want everybody to think about, it's hurricane season, so,
Yeah.
know what your plans are. I think Dick Horn brought up at the last meeting is we need to focus on who's going to be the point of contact with the town, how that's going to flow in the event we do have a hurricane this year.
And I recommended it be the fire chief because he has a staff in the office right there.
Danny?
Well, first off, I do have that sign on my back porch that says, if a man speaks in the woods and there's no one to hear him, is he still wrong? So if there is any flaws here, it's mine. And we understand. There you go. And really, my wife's been wanting to improve the professional look of this area here for a while, but we just picked up on the energy that Matt and Debbie started. One knew Debbie was painting her office, Matt was painting hers, and we just kind of caught the wave. Okay, so it was good. And there's still much to be done, so we'll get a lot more done. And your sign is in the works right now. Yeah, we got the primer on both sides, so it'll be finished in a couple of days here.
That's what I heard, I played
So-
Saturday morning.
And then I want to get the one over at Public Works and the one on Corey that our boundary looks pretty shabby, so I'll get it to you. I went to a League of Cities seminar at Hyatt in Orlando Friday, and it was pretty good. I brought the packet with me. They had several speakers of several areas. One was, unbeknownst to me, we're building like a testing facility in Polk County for autonomous vehicles. So, and there is one in California, one in Arizona, one in Michigan, Pennsylvania, and I think one of there, we're the only place in the southeast that's going to have this. And it's not necessarily for certification, but for development and so on. And so that's going to be, and it's kind of, I don't know how good it's going to be when you, one demonstration they showed was a driver cutting off an autonomous vehicle, and the autonomous vehicle had to know what to do. And my thought was at least it wouldn't be chasing me down and shooting at me. But it was, they like teaching how to do that, I don't know. But it was pretty good. They had a thing on the rental scooter companies want to go in cities, and luckily the state legislature did not preempt us on that. I don't think we as a town of Malabar have anything to worry about there, but the urban towns do. And as of now, the legislation they passed, you have the right to totally deny a rental company renting scooters in your town if you choose to. And if you don't, you have absolute right to regulate it. So that was pretty good too. So anyway, and we didn't get too much in discussion about it. Another railroad service that's out of Miami going up as far as West Palm Beach and then west is in service right now. When they're going to start this, I don't know. But that's going to be quite an impact on the communities up and down Highway 1 right here when they start passenger service here. We're talking upwards of 30 trains a day. So I don't know.
16 on the storage.
Yeah.
We can just hope they move as fast as.
Passengers.
Well, the good thing about the passenger trains is the rep that was there for the South Florida service, most of their trains are only 4 cars in length. It's the freight trains that are up to 2 miles long. So, but anyway, that was it. We've got more to do here. I like what, all we did was follow the vision that Matt and Debbie had for this place with a few tweaks from my wife and me. I don't make any input, just hand me the roller. So, that's it. I'm just happy to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, one more thing. I yelled at Debbie one day because I saw her car up here on a Sunday. And I'm like, what in the world are you doing up there on a Sunday? I said, I know you're dedicated, but that's crazy. She says, no, I paint in my office.
He does that, the maintenance down there, yeah.
Great. Dick?
Yeah, I've got something I think is more to say, but what I will say is when I came in today after spending a week doing weird things in Tampa all week, I came in to check my mailbox, it wasn't there. And then everything looked different. But I didn't even notice at first the difference in the paint on the walls. But it looks good. But back to what I think is important is the MSTU thing. We are not the South Precinct of Lamar County. We are Malabar. We have our own agreement with the Sheriff's Department, and which is not being lived up to. I've tried. I have not called the sheriff on his cell phone yet, but I probably will have to this week because I'm talking with his administrative assistant, Lindsay Deaton, and she never returned a call to the town hall here that she was asked to do so. We're going to have to get the Sheriff's Department back to providing for us what we contracted with them to provide. Many years ago, what, 2006 or 2007, Steve? When we first come up with that. And it was pretty well defined. And what was most recently defined was that we would have 36 hours of deputy on the ground in Malabar in a 24-hour period, a deputy and a half, basically. And I have seen them increase their the coverage on Weber Road. There's a deputy spending a lot of time right around the corner off of Weber, on Axe, next to that, A-frame house. They'll sit there and watch. But because of some complaints we've gotten, and I've gone out and checked, there are warning signs before every stop sign in Malabar, including the ones at the town lines, except for one at Hall Road up here, Hall and Weber. But, and that hasn't, we haven't heard any announcements on that one yet. But we need to get the protection, the police protection that we have agreed to pay for, and well, are paying. And I'm going after the sheriff, real heavy. I mean, he helped my campaign, and he contributed to it. And he says he likes it, we're gonna find out.
Anything else? Okay, one thing, there was a proclamation that was sent to the town for establishing kindness as an emoli, or I don't even know how to say it.
Emoji.
Yeah, but I wasn't gonna put it, I wasn't gonna do it, so if somebody wants to put it on the agenda from the council, we'll do it, otherwise it'll just die. It is what it is. If no one from council says I want it on the agenda, it will die.
I forwarded the email to everybody
Yeah, I saw it.
this afternoon.
Well, I have one other thing. We have an ordinance requiring registration of golf carts to be used on the roads, speed limit about 30 or 35 miles an hour less. I don't know if that is being enforced or being used, and should it be expanded for ATVs? Because there's a lot of these things on the roads now, particularly the Hall, Weber, Hall and ads, the side roads, not the main roads.
ATVs are tearing up our right of ways.
Yeah, they're not allowed
I
on the
would
roads.
fight that.
They're currently not allowed on the road.
They're not allowed.
They should. I'm not saying they should be. I'm saying, should we have some control over them, because they are on the roads.
It's a moving violation. The sheriff goes after.
Okay, we can add that to our request for additional enforcement.
Right, the other thing is, we had some, I hope I say the right word, scribblers errors? Scrivener's errors on our future land use map. So Debbie and I and a few others have fixed them. They were just minor stuff. So nothing needed to go back to council. But this is the final map that you're going to now post. Is that correct?
Well, once we do the final reading and then we wait 5 days, so after July 1st, we'll ask Todd to modify this to show the recent change to CG for the little parcel here, and then it will be absolutely up to date.
Okay.
Then we can get it blown up and framed.
Right. Like the one that used to be there. All right, that's all I have. So without objection, meeting adjourned. I have no idea of time.
8:18.
I missed my phone.
That will be a record. You're gonna have to put it, I got one of those schoolhouse clocks. Yeah.
Well, there's a big loop up there somewhere.
Yeah, like the old black and white.
Yeah.